Welcome back to Bison Nation. I am DeMontra Cole, and this week we have a lot of campus and local news to cover, including celebrating Women's History Month and NDSU pharmacy faculty receives a national award. So sit back and stay tuned. Michael Kellish, NDSU Senior Associate Dean and Pharmacy Professor, and Jeannie Frenzel, NDSU's Professor of Pharmacy Practice, are the recipients of a national award from the American Association of Colleges of Pharmacy. These top AACP awards recognize recipients for their outstanding contributions made to pharmacy, education, research, patient outcomes, community service, and academic publishing. Jeannie Frenzel, NDSU's Professor of Pharmacy Practice. She has published articles in Pharmacy Teaching and Learning, also the American Journal of Pharmaceutical Education. Here at Bison Nation, we say congratulations. We have some wonderful news. An MSUM student, he gets his rare second chance at a shot at Wheel of Fortune. David Avelsagard thought he had fulfilled his lifelong dream when he left a Wheel of Fortune taping with a vacation to Antigua and some additional prize money in his pocket. Soon after returning home, though, he found that his story wasn't quite over just yet. They said you were supposed to actually get a trip to Mexico, not Antigua, he explained. So, well, we'll give you an option of picking the trip you want, and then because of that era, we're going to invite you back to the show. Was there ever a chance he ever turned that down? David said, my parents set me in front of the TV, and we've always watched it together as a family, every single night. He also said, it's always been something we've bonded over for years. Congratulations, David, from everybody here at Bison Nation. A Fargo man has been arrested for allegedly possessing child pornography. Joseph Restov is charged with 8 counts of possession of certain materials prohibited, also known as child pornography. A BCI investigator details several videos of sexual abuse of children between the ages of 9 and 15. According to court documents, he agreed to talk with agents and admitted to sharing images and videos of child pornography. He told investigators they would find hundreds of photos and videos on 2 cell phones. He also admitted to purchasing child pornography, saying his preference was children between the ages of 8 and 17. Records state, in today's world, parents have a lot to worry about when it comes to their children's safety. From online dangers to physical threats, it's important for all parents to be aware and vigilant in protecting your children. With the rise of technology and social media, children are more exposed than they ever were before. Predators can easily hide behind screens and target innocent children. They trick them into believing they are someone else, gaining their trust and eventually luring them into dangerous situations. Parents, protect your children. In celebration of Women's History Month, today we are honored to pay tribute to a remarkable woman who has left a lasting impact on the world of literature and activism. Her name is Diana Ferrus, a South African poet and activist known for her powerful words and her unwavering commitment to social justice. But what makes her truly unique is her ability to use poetry and storytelling as a tool for social change. One of her most famous poems, I've Come to Take You Home, inspired by the story of Sarah Bartman, a South African woman who was exhibited as a freak show attraction in Europe. Diana's poem is a powerful tribute to all women who have been dehumanized and objectified throughout history. This poem gave a voice to the voiceless and shed light on the dark history of racism in South Africa. But Diana Ferrus didn't stop there. She continued to use her poetry, her words of storytelling to speak out against injustice and to empower women. Her work has been translated in multiple languages and has been performed in various countries, spreading her message of hope and resilience. Today, we celebrate you, Diana Ferrus, not just as a poet, but as a fearless activist who has inspired generations of women to use their voices for change. Her legacy continues to live on, and her voices continue to resonate with people all over the world. As we honor Women's History Month, let us remember and celebrate the powerful and influential women who have paved the way for us today. And let us continue to use our voices to create a better and more equal world. Here is Diana Ferrus' poem, I've Come to Take You Home. Today, the city of Flint mourns the loss of their beloved leader, Councilman Eric Mays, a politician and member of the Flint City Council, has passed away at the age of 56. During his tenure, Mays was known to be highly controversial. He was a passionate and outspoken advocate for the black community and the poor people of Flint, Michigan. Mays was not afraid to speak his mind, often causing heated debates and arguments during city council meetings. His catchphrase, "Point of order," became widely known on social media and in the community. He used his platform on social media to connect with the people of Flint and address their concerns. He was a true representative of the black community and fought tirelessly for their rights. Eric Mays was a strong and fearless leader. He always stood up for us and fought for what was right. I can tell you from my words to yours, he will be deeply missed. He was often suspended and escorted out of city council meetings for his behavior, but that did not stop him from standing up for his beliefs and fighting for the people he represented. His passion and dedication to the community of Flint will always be remembered. Eric Mays have had his flaws, but he was a true warrior for the people of Flint. He fought for the underprivileged and made sure their voices were heard. He will be greatly missed. Eric Mays' legacy will live on in the hearts of those he fought for and the community he served. Rest in peace, Councilman Eric Mays. You will be deeply missed. A quote from Eric Mays from his own words, "I may not always be right, but I will always fight for what is right." Here is a video of Eric Mays. Well, that is all with news here at Bison Nation. We will be right back with our weather report and sports segment. Also, we will be taking a look at this week's Fargo food tour with Vinny. I'm DeMontra Cole. Stay tuned.
I thought of doing that with us. My last name's Bernath. Her last name's Baumgartner. And so we took the Bern and the Baum, combined them, and it actually is Bernbombs.
In this new series that we like to call Fargo Food Tour.
I'm Andrea Baumgardner. I'm a co-owner, founder, and chef.
And I'm Brett Bernath, co-owner as well. And we're about to start our 6th year. The food concept, is she thought, okay, well, if we're going to do breakfast, lunch, let's start with the bagels and develop a menu from there. And we quickly realized that her kind of food heritage and mine, there were overlaps with the Scandinavian and the Jewish Ashkenazi flavors and tastes, and so she built the menu from there.
They are not joking when they say the bagel is different than most places. Catch the review and more with episode 7, Combining Names, on this episode called Bernburns. I'll see you on the YouTube channel, and you can also learn about sayings that they have, like...
Let that bastard strike you down.
See ya.
My name is Becky Parker, and I'm a news anchor at WDAY-TV. I graduated from NDSU in 2010 with a degree in journalism, broadcasting, and mass communication technologies, and then I had an emphasis on broadcasting. Principles of broadcast production and advanced broadcast production. Those were favorites because they were the most relevant for career experience. You're calling people for interviews, you're writing an article. It doesn't just feel like an assignment, it's like actually doing it. I was the news director for the first full semester of the Bison Information Network. The BIN advisor here was very much invested in me to actually have a career in broadcasting. He helped me get my internship and my first job. The people in NDSU's Department of Communication are really interested and helpful in getting students the connections that they need in order to get a job beyond school.
No kid deserves to go hungry, but try as they might, not every family can afford to put food on the table every day. That's why the Great Plains Food Bank and their partner agencies work every day to bring food to our hungry neighbors. Every dollar donated can provide 4 meals for those in need. Go to greatplainsfoodbank.org and donate today, so no kid in North Dakota ever has to go hungry.
Welcome into the Bison Sports Report. There is a lot of tournaments that has happened. The March Madness has just begun. Diving right into men's basketball. They end the season on a bad losing streak, losing both to USD and SDSU as they were going into tournament play. As NDSU placed 5th seed, they were set up to play against 4th seeded St. Thomas last Sunday. It looked to be a game for the ages, with St. Thomas coming out with a 3 to start the game, and NDSU had to play from behind, but it did not matter because the Bison responded right away with a 10-2 run, although it did not take long for St. Thomas to respond. With not even 75 seconds going by, St. Thomas was able to get within 5, chopping away at NDSU's lead, the score being 12-7. And then the Bison could not respond, and the Tommies took full advantage, getting outscored 12-0, and this continued throughout the first half. People were wondering what was going on with the Bison, as the Bison could not get things together. Going into halftime, down 22-42. As they head into the locker room, they were looking to rally and make this improbable comeback a reality. As they head out on the court, NDSU did just that, coming out with some determination and a chip on their shoulder. It started with Jakari White making a 2-pointer, and the Bison kept scoring one after another, cutting the Tommies' lead all the way down to 8. But that was all the Bison could muster, as the Tommies finally decided to wake up and started scoring again, as they put up shot after shot, ultimately getting their lead back up to 25 points. now with only 5 minutes left, down by 22, the Bison had a lot to come back from again, hoping to stir of what they had in the beginning of the half. The Bison tried all they could, cutting the lead from 19 to 18 to 15, then to 12. As they were chopping down and cutting it down, the time was ticking against them. It was all or nothing for the Bison, getting within 12, the score being 56 to 68, but it was a little too late as Jeremiah Brook scored the last points of the game, adding 2 for the Bison, but the clock hit 0, and the final score was 58 to 68. NDSU's season came to an end. Turning to another team that ended the season on a loss was women's basketball team, as they beat South Dakota 63 to 54 and falling to SDSU 74 to 89. But that loss did not matter because the NDSU secured the number 2 seed a long time ago. They were set to face the number 7 seed Denver as they passed them with no problem, beating them 72 to 60. Then moving on, unlike the men's basketball team, as they faced the number 3 seed Oral Roberts, beating them 75 to 66. The Bison were on a roll, heading on to the championship game against no other than SDSU, as NDSU was looking to get their revenge, as the Jackrabbits did give them 2 out of the 3 losses in the regular season. They want to make sure that this did not happen in the playoffs. So going into this game, it was win and be champion, or lose and be a bubble team for Women's March Madness. So it all came down to this. The first half of the game was not a good showing for both teams, as they could not hit their threes and missed more of their shots, resulting in more of a defensive battle. That being said, the Bison and Jackrabbits headed into the locker room with the score being 22 to 20, with SDSU coming up on top. Now, coming out of halftime, the coaches tried to fix both teams' issues, and they scored as many points as they did in this quarter than they did all of the last half. The Bison still trailed the Jackrabbits going into the fourth, with the score being 42 to 45. Everyone was wondering who is going to be crowned champion, as it was still anybody's game. To start the fourth quarter, SDSU and NDSU were battling it out, going basket for basket. Then NDSU pulling ahead, getting the game within 1 point. With only 6 minutes left of the quarter, it was 46-47. NDSU became hopeful as they got it within a possession and could take the late lead. But all the Bison's dreams crashed after SDSU went on a 14-0 run and hopped to the finish line, with a final score being 67 to 54. The Bison ended up falling short. After this performance, NDSU's women's basketball is still on the bubble for March Madness, but it's not guaranteed. One thing that is guaranteed, though, it was one heck of a season for the team, and NDSU could have another powerhouse sport for years to come. Another team that is trying to build a powerhouse team is NDSU Wrestling. Here you'll find a lot of young wrestlers. The youth did come out to show, though, when they entered the Big 12 Championship. The Bison finished with 28 points and ranked 11th out of 13th. But there was only one standout from this, and that was Gavin Sachs, as he made the championship for the 174-pounders. It was not looking good for Gavin, though, as he started down 0-4 going into the third. But Gavin got a takedown and escape, making the match tied 4-4. But it slipped right through his fingers, losing the match 4-6, although he did get an automatic invite to the NCAA championship for next week. As we cheer him on, and wrestling and basketball all come down to an end, it was time to get the bats and gloves out as we head over to as we head over to baseball. NDSU had a rough weekend, and that continued with the Bison having 3 opponents. The first, they faced off against Oregon State as they got swept, losing all of them, dropping the first game, then the second, and lost the last one by 6. NDSU wanted to get back on a win streak as they prepared to face Southeast Louisiana. With this, they wanted to start the series off with a win, and they did. 6-3, the Bison finally did it, but the celebration was short-lived as they would drop the next 2, losing 6-8 and 10-11. Now, NDSU has a tough opponent as they face LSU at Baton Rouge, as they would drop the first game 1-6. Their next game in the series is happening right now, and you can watch it on SEC Network Plus. Talk about struggles though, NDSU softball had some struggles too. They went on to beat Georgetown twice, 9-2 and 4-3. Continue their winning streak as they beat Lipscomb 8-1 and 5-1. The Bison would follow this up with 6 straight losses, dropping 1 to Murray State, 2 to Santa Clara, another to Loyola, and 2 to St. Jose State. The Bison were able to bounce back and rally to beat Pacific Stockton in extra innings 2-1, and they hope to carry that win and make it a win streak as they go to St. Mary's tournament starting March 15th. I wish I could have reported some better news for the Bison Nation, but it was a rough patch and full of struggles. One of the struggles I am facing right now is getting used to this weather. One day it is 70 degrees and nice and warm, and the other it is 30 and cold and snowy. Ethan, do you know if Mother Nature will make up her mind or not?
Well, Vinny, let's find that out for you this week. It looks like today we had some pretty decent weather with an overcast sky. The temperatures today had an average of roughly 45 degrees, and that was pretty evident out there as snow was melting, birds were chirping, and campus was thriving. The dew point today was at 38 degrees, and we had a humidity of 48%. Not too bad. In addition, for our hour-by-hour forecast, you'll see that our temperatures today are going to be staying in the 40s range until they begin to dip below to just above freezing as we go into the night here. For our skycast, our sunrise started today at 7:42 a.m., far before I was awake, and our sunset will happen at roughly the same time about 12 hours later at 7:30. We're gaining sunlight still at 11 hours and 48 minutes in total each day of sunlight. And in addition, for our moon phases, you can see that tonight we have a waxing crescent, in fact, and there's a first quarter moon phase coming up on March 16th that you can look for. For today's almanac, we had a high of 52 today with a low of 35 degrees, with the record temp being 64 degrees and its highest in 1911, so quite a while ago. I feel bad for 1896 with a low of negative 28 degrees, far below freezing at that point. Looking around the country at this point, you can see that the South is thriving, and it looks like this time around the Northwest has been hit by some of the worst temperatures here as they're in the 40s and just above freezing as well. North Dakota is actually doing pretty well for itself in the 50s. For the national forecast, you can see that we're getting a little bit of snow in this general region, a little bit to our southwest, and in addition, there's some rain that's going to be happening on the eastern side of the country over here that is going to continue all the way up to Maine and even reaches as far south as Texas. For my 7-day forecast, you can see, Vinny, that in fact we actually do have pretty consistent weather this week. We're going to be hovering through the 45s and low 50s, and as we go into Monday and Tuesday of next week, we stay at just above freezing before going back into some of those same 40-degree temperatures. So looks like it's a pretty decent week, all things considered. For our national days, you can see that we've got Dermatologist Day today, as well as Canine Veterans Day, Earmuff Day, and of course, open an umbrella day, which I'm sure all of you, now that you've learned this, are going to go home and open your umbrellas because it's very important. That's all I've got for weather today, Vinny, so I hope that answered your question. Thank you once again, Bison Information Network, for tuning in, and we'll go back to Vinny here.
Thank you, Ethan, for the weather report. You know, I did hear it was an unlucky thing to open up an umbrella inside, so if you're going to do that, do it outside. And I'm not surprised at the colder temperatures outside. At least it is going to be consistent. Well, that is all that we have for this week's episode here on Bison Information Network. I'm Vinny Anderson, signing off for myself and everyone else in the studio, wishing you all a great rest of your week and good luck on the second half of the semester.